Hi gang, the Joy of Football podcast has a guest this week. It's Aaron Paul, Radio London, Radio 5 and much else, and colleague of Martin out in Philadelphia.
We're at the FIFA Club World Cup together, and also a proper football person. Great to have you.
The Joy of Football podcast. With me, Neil Barnett.
And with me, Martin Tyler.
Looks Rashani! Rooney! Aguero!
The Joy of Football.
Hello, the Joy of Football podcast with Martin Tyler, the greatest commentator in the world, and me, Neil Barnett. We are joined today by the becoming legendary Aaron Paul.
How are we?
Who, if you don't know, presents the morning show on Radio London, BBC Radio London, but is a Radio 5 reporter, and we'll get through all these football positives and negatives.
Yeah.
Well, one fact is that the last time we met before today was in the press room at Philadelphia, Lincoln Field, financial field, at the Club World Cup, and you were sent by your organisation, and you found me there.
Out of all people,
feed,
in the corner of the press room is Martin Tyler.
Well, let's talk about the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Were you most...
Sorry, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I can report, Aaron, that we are talking, everybody, the morning after, the night before for Chelsea. But I was in Cobham, where the training ground is, this morning on my way here to Neil's kitchen. And sadly, dancing in the street is not quite how I'd describe the reaction of the locals by the training ground.
I don't think that's the Cobham community at all. Aaron, you were out there, but you covered a lot of games. Actually.
Yeah.
Were you most absorbed by the football, or by the culture being thrown on the football by FIFA and everything else?
None of them. I was most absorbed by the supporters, especially the South American supporters. I had a wild night out in Times Square on June the 11th or 12th. I'd heard a rumour that Palmeiras fans were about to take over. Did they take over? So where I bought myself over from New Jersey, long old schlep, New Jersey, on the train, Penn Station, and then you just get out, and I started walking past the Empire State, and then left and up on to Times Square, and they were everywhere, and it was great. It was them. I had a similar sort of experience in Nashville with the Esperance, the Tennis fans.
Were there a lot of them?
Loads, and they took over Broadway. And so you've got all these bachelorette parties going, who are these lot? And they're stopping the traffic. And they're going up and down Broadway with like a brass band and sing their songs. So I joined in. I just walked in the middle of it. It was great. Then a couple of fans, I was doing some interviews. A couple of fans were like, hey, it's you. And I had a great night out with them. But the fans going there, experiencing the Brazilian fans, catching up with people that you know on the circuit. It was great. Do you know what, the football? It was slightly better than I imagined. It lacked quality in the final third, a lot of games. They really did lack quality. But it was end to end. It was action. You weren't seeing a lot of knocking it about in the midfield and faffing around. It was actually teams just going for it, which was great.
And we were at the beginning, really, for Chelsea. They'd played one game before in Atlanta, which we neither of us were at, I don't think.
LAFC.
Yeah, LAFC, yeah. And then they came to Philadelphia.
They did.
And lost. And when you look back on it now...
the defeat against Flamengo opened up the tournament for Chelsea, particularly when Benfica beat Bayern Munich to win their group. So Chelsea avoided Bayern Munich in the round of 16. And then in the round of 16, Al-Hilal beat Manchester City, who Chelsea were now scheduled to meet in the semi-final if they got there. And suddenly, all the big opposition fell away. And it was...
Felipe Luis sorted you right out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Impressive manager.
I agree.
Very impressive. Won a load of trophies.
Didn't you think he was a great player? for Atletico Madrid. He never got talked about because of Marcelo at Real Madrid. They were both Brazilian. But he was a fantastic
he was cracking because he did the basics well, and he's one of those players that he was unassuming in his role. You talk about Marcelo, the way he used to maraud up the left. With Felipe Luis, he got the job done. He was quiet, he was efficient. Happy days. It was one of those ones. But as a manager, they all love him, you know. To pull a player like Jorginho to come out to Brazil, to play in the Club World Cup. I mean, I spoke to Jorginho after his first game and he's like, I had to. It's a good project. Like, I want to be here, you know. And that's a really testament to what Felipe Luis is doing there.
And he handled himself really well with the media. Of course, speaks very good
Fantastic,
English.
yeah.
He talked about his year at Chelsea, where Azpilicueta kept him out of the team, and he's not really a left back, is he? That must have been hard to take. But how he loved living in London, lived in Fulham, and really absorbed the culture of the capital.
Well, unfortunately, Martin, due to FIFA's strict time regulations, I got 2 questions with him, and it was often something to do with the game and something to do with the game going forward, or whatever it was. And so I never got that chance to really explore things. The best was, though, the first Flamengo game I did, Jorginho's walking through the mix zone and points to me because you following me, which was funny, and it was handy because I knew him. I'd interviewed him a few times when he needed just to lean on someone to get an interview. It was great, so it was fantastic because it was tough out there. The first few weeks of that tournament, or the first few match days of that tournament were tough in terms of working with FIFA. Just liaising to how we work, how they do things. You had so many different foreign broadcasters. You had language broadcasters coming in. Everyone wants a piece of the pie. But because I was part of the host broadcast, it's like, well, we're here. We're doing it. We got to do our thing. And so it was an interesting experience. This
is very interesting because I talk about this quite a lot on here and never really go into the detail of it. That post-match mix zone area where journalists...
television was spoiled. Yeah. Obviously, they have to come out and talk to
where you go into the mix zone and you fight to get your interviews. And if they are sound interviews as opposed to written interviews, it matters who asks the questions, and you need to ask a few questions consecutively in order to get an interview worth having. And it is a heavyweight boxing contest.
It's carnage. I mean, I've worked with television where press officers will roll around like, I want to be kind, so I call them small town cops. And you'll get them and they'll be very, very difficult. And a manager will bail you out and go, no, he's all right. He's all right. He'll be okay. It's about building that relationship and building up a reputation, isn't it? Where people know you. I mean, I always use the standard thing. I'm not going to ask, a manager, what he enjoys in sort of like, the privacy of his own bedroom. I'm going to ask him a basic question about football or what happened in the game or X or Y or Z. We're here to do our job. As much as they're here to do their job, we're here to do ours. And it's difficult sometimes. But the FIFA experience at the Club World Cup was an experience. Built some really good links. Was very lucky that, some of the press officers were accommodating. One particular press officer berated me in front of everyone. That was... Am I allowed to say the club?
Yes.
It was Al-Hilal. The press officer came over to me while I was mid-interview and started shouting at me, why are you asking 3 questions? Why are you asking 3 questions? And I just looked at him and I said some things that weren't very nice. And I was just like, if you want to have a sort out, we'll have a sort out over there.
Was he smaller than you?
Well, it doesn't matter. I'll give it a go. The man from FIFA.
I wouldn't.
The man from FIFA was like, Aaron, it's okay. Aaron, it's okay. I was like, no, you don't talk to people like that. You're in a professional environment. I've been courteous. You've been courteous. You've asked us not to do something. We won't do something. I did a documentary on Kalidou Koulibaly. I worked with one of my producers. We did one on Ramadan. Kalidou's come over. He's, how are you? You okay? Mate, he's not having it. He's not having it. Oh no, he's asked too many questions. I was like, mate, what's the problem? Where are you going? You're here. Don't worry. But unfortunately, there are some media personnel who operate like small town.
Well, can I just, as you brought up Koulibaly, I want to bring up Koulibaly because when Senegal won the African Cup of Nations for the first time, Infantino presented the trophy to Koulibaly as captain. And as Koulibaly walked down to lift it ahead of the squad, Infantino took him away, led him into the stand, up into the stand in order to show the trophy to the president of Senegal. And quite clearly, it looked as though Infantino wanted him to lift the trophy in front of the president. So that was the marketing shot. And Koulibaly refused, shook the president's hand, said some nice words, and then insisted on taking the trophy down and lifting it in front of his squad. And he was still, at that stage, he was still a Napoli player. He hadn't come to Chelsea. But I fell in love with Koulibaly on just that alone. And that's where I come back to my original question with you about the football and the culture that was manufactured and dropped on football throughout the tournament.
I don't know what you think, Martin. I mean, for me, the first couple of match days were tough when you're dealing with the stadia as well. I mean, you were based at Philadelphia, which is an American football stadium.
Yeah.
My first experience was the MetLife, and I was like, what is going? It's basically the London Stadium on steroids, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a terrible stadium.
It's not a good place to watch football. It's not a good place to work. They have this rule where, I mean, it's car parks everywhere. So you come out of the ground, there's car parks everywhere, and
that's because there's no public transport.
there's no
so
and then you have to be carted off site. You're not allowed to walk. I'll walk down. No, you're not allowed to do that. A lot of it felt very sanitized. It was a great experience. I'm not going to say that, but I mean, it was tough when you're going to a game where you're expected to give the hype, and there's 3,000 people who turn up. What's going on here? A lot of the decisions were questionable. Playing that Chelsea game, I think it was the first. It might have been the second game, where you've got however many people turning up. Very few people turning up because it's so hot. It's midweek.
It was
Gina's game, the third game.
So it's the third game.
I did that game, and the temperatures were over 100 in old money.
It's baking.
Yeah, it was
Everyone's at work.
Just 38 degrees.
No one's coming out to watch the football. The ticket pricing thing was really interesting because my first game out of the MetLife, you're walking out and they've got these big pillars with screens built into them, and it said go onto this website and you get 20% off your tickets. So to see the tickets go from there to there to there to there to there to I think they were $9 or $11 in one of the last games in semi-finals is crazy. They had to mark it out, but we forget this is a country where
it's about the money.
The third sport.
It's about the money.
Fourth sport.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, and I felt that in the final, watching the final back here, that I found the halftime show just unwatchable from an English viewpoint. But I've been to enough American sports events to know that it fits into the culture of the market that the tournament was played in. Now, I hope that the second, in 4 years' time, I'm sure there will be another FIFA Club World Cup, that it might be played in a more conventional football country, and the people will come anyway, so you don't actually have to go out so far to sell it, and they won't go out on a limb to make it as Americanized as possible to get people through the gates. And the attendances, there were only a few games with 3,000 or 4,000 people, and it got quite swollen up at the end. And so, just looking at it as a football lover, was the tournament ready to be staged? Should the clubs have a World Cup, which is bigger than what those 20 years of minority, small number events around the world, and the Middle East in particular? And I think the answer to that is yes, the clubs are ready to have a World Cup, the equivalent of the national teams. So you've got to start somewhere, and a place where they could pay the bills, they could work the hype. And so it's a football tournament, just taking out everything else. The fact that Chelsea were allowed to have a goal scorer in the final who wasn't even a Chelsea player when the competition began, which really stuck in my throat. I don't think that's right. But those are their tournament regulations, and they're not to do with the country it was staged in. So I think it's worthy of
just because Woking couldn't have.
The thing is that, and the point I'm fully with you in terms of there is room for the competition. There is room for
a global opportunity.
Club. Absolutely.
And once every 4 years, we're not talking about it was every year before for 20 years.
Of course. I remember when it was the Intercontinental Cup back in the day. I just think, and having experienced it, a lot of the circus around it was a bit for me. I just didn't really enjoy it. It made me miss a freezing cold day at the Den or something. I just missed English football so much after that. I just thought you want that. Even I missed the EFL actually. Tell a lie, not English football. I missed the EFL because you get that unwashed product where it's very organic, it's very raw. You go, you enjoy yourself, and it's great here.
What's your favourite match day food from the EFL?
This is a subtext of this podcast.
Look, I have to be biased and say that at AFC Wimbledon they got the best fan park with the most ridiculous food options out there. But then you go to South London, you go to Millwall, you have pie and mash. You go to Manzies or you got Armand's, you have pie and mash. It's great. Look, the producer's loving it. He's loving it out there. But then again, you go to Birmingham. There's a fabulous Birmingham City supporters group called Blues for All, run by a guy called Mickey, massive blues fan, and he owns a pub over, I can't remember what area. I think it's Harborne or something. It's called the Maggies, and Mickey is famous for basically creating the Punjabi mixed grill culture. I don't know if you've ever had one, a Punjabi mixed grill. It's one of the best things you'll ever eat in your life. I implore you. Go anywhere near the Midlands.
What's it called again?
It's a Punjabi. So we're from Punjab.
What's the place called?
Oh, his pub's called the Maggies. If you go to the Maggies, go and ask for Mickey. Tell him you know me. He'll look after you.
We got to have an outing. We got to have the Joy of Football outing.
He will pull out a mixed grill bigger than your hat. Yeah, it is ginormous, and it's just.
They were going to say bigger than his head.
It's different everywhere you go around the country. You try and sample a little bit of this, but you go.
Yeah.
Got a Plymouth have a Cornish pasty. It's lovely.
I'm just going to make him.
How important is that, Aaron, for you in your work to absorb the culture of the club?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I got offered a job. Like I'd love to live in. For me, like if there's one place outside of this country I live, it'd be Dubai because I love being by the sea. I love just that atmosphere. I love the weather. It's lovely. Got offered a job out there 6, 7, 8 years ago. Good money. And I remember sitting on the beach talking to my pal. And he goes, "You're in two minds." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "What's up?" And I said, "I just don't know. This should be a really straightforward decision. Incredible opportunity. Good package." And he goes,
"But you like your Punjabi mix?"
No, he goes to me, he goes, "What'd you do it for? Why do you do what you do?" People turn around to me, and I was with a friend, and his mum turned around to me, and she goes, "You never come around. We always have barbecues and stuff. You never come around." I go, and my mate goes to me, he goes, in 2 weeks, you will not see him again for like 8, 9 months. He's just going to be gone. Like, every Saturday morning, if I'm not on the road somewhere, I feel horrible. I feel really horrible. I am buzzing. If you go to League 2, League 1, wherever it is, I want to go. And so my friend, going back to that, he turned around to me, he goes, What do you do it for? And I said, the atmosphere. Like, I do it for the atmosphere. I do it for, the most rawest, littlest bits of atmosphere you'll get at any and sort of any club, any corner of the world. You go to Plymouth, you listen to them sing that song, Janners. It's unbelievable. I love going to Millwall, listening to them sing Roy Green, Let Them All Come Down to the Den. I used to host a Millwall podcast called Actung Millwall, the world famous Actung Millwall, big in Botswana, massive in Mogadishu. Uncle Nick, the best human being, Nick Hart, who sort of gave me like a Millwall induction there. But he did an episode learning about the history of this song, Let Them All Come Down to the Den, learning about Roy Green. He got in touch with Roy Green's daughter, and I'm sat there, I'm like, that's proper. My favourite though, and everyone always asks me, what's the favourite? In Forest sing Mulligan Tire. That's a out of body experience. The point. I've been there for derbies, mate. I remember at one point I was doing so many derbies for 5 Live in the EFL. Someone wrote in and goes, "Are you training him to be a war correspondent?" Because I saw Jack Grealish get punched at Birmingham, and I was working with Mark Pugac that day. It was Mark, Pat Nevin, and I was at the ground, and I just remember coming off there, the steam coming off you. But, you work in those sort of like white hot atmospheres where you go, even whoever it is, you're guaranteed, if you go to a decent club in the Football League, you're going to get an atmosphere. You'll get a day to remember. I love it. There's nothing like it.
How stupid was I when I asked you? I said, "I know you're doing this big show on BBC London when you're the breakfast host and the capital, big number. Oh, so you must be giving up football."
No,
I got it
no
right
chance.
back.
No chance.
Well, just give everyone listening your career in broadcast.
Well, where I started.
Yeah.
So this is a story I've told so many times, but it's brilliant. So I did engineering at university. My father was in construction. The plan was for me to go into the family business. He died at the end of my first year of university. And you kind of drift, don't you? You drift and drift and drift. And I was lucky enough to be staying with my uncle, who's just the most wonderful human.
Whereabouts was this?
In Maidenhead in Berkshire.
Yeah.
Stayed with him. And he'd converted his garage, and it was me and the Rottweiler, and we'd kit together. One day he walks in 5 o'clock in the morning, he's going to work, and he goes, I've got an idea. It's going to take a few days for me to implement it, but I've got an idea. Okay, fine. And he put the TV on 5 Live, and he, the skyboxes used to have the buttons, the digiboxes. He snapped the buttons off the top, and I go, what are you doing? And he goes, you need to listen to this, but I know if I leave the buttons here, you just change the channel. I felt like I'm mad. I can just pull the plug out the back, but he knows I'm too lazy to do that. Anyway, taking the remote, come back that evening, and he goes, so do you know what I'm talking about? And I was like, not got a clue, mate. I don't know what you're trying to get out of this. Did it the next day. I'm like, okay, cool. Comes back. Do you know what I'm talking about? Nope. Wednesday, same thing. I've got to have an answer for him today. Go, do you want me to be a TV repairman? And he's like, no, mate, no. And he goes, right, tomorrow we'll go for a beer after work. I'll come back from work, we'll go for a beer, we'll have a chat. So fine. And so we went to the pub, and he goes, look, I've been thinking about this. He goes, I think you'd be a very good sports broadcaster. And I'm like, really? And I knew I wanted to work in football. It's my life. I'm absorbed by everything my life surrounds.
Well, what was your football experience to that point, Aaron? What had he seen in you that had that conversation?
I was obsessed. I was I was such a nerd. I could tell you about what was going on at Crew Alex or here or there. I'd read the papers cover to cover, the Football League paper here, there. I was a champion at accumulators as well. So he had all his mates on a Friday. They'd pull out the sheets and they go, right, somewhere we going. And it was just my life. Football was my life.
He recognised that.
Yeah. I remember on Saturday, people talk about, I used to take the top 40. Remember Video Plus back in the day? Mm-hmm. So, right, I used to do this. On a Saturday morning, I used to Video Plus at my grandparents' house, Soccer AM. Then I'd Video Plus final score on the BBC. I don't know why I'd want to watch the results back, but seeing Ray Stubbs go, and they used to have correction, do you know what I mean? You'd have the little bar at the bottom. I don't know why I wanted to watch Ray Stubbs, but I loved it. And then I'd record Match of the Day or whatever it is. And I used to just consume Sunday Supplement, Brian Warnoff, all those legends.
Starting again, around, by the way. Bringing it back.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. But sat there with their pan au chocolats and their glasses of orange juice, talking through the papers. Used to watch it. Watch Soccer Sunday. Goals on Sunday. You'd watch, all these bits, and you consume so much football media. In my house, it used to be Sports Centre, Sky Sports Centre, 6 live from the Sky Sports Centre. Amazing. And so he wanted me to be a sports broadcaster. And he goes, look, think about it. I don't know how you do it. And he was a van driver. He was a courier. He goes, I haven't got a clue how you're going to do it. But whatever you do, I'll back you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about your mum. I'll back you. So fine. So I thought about it. Took a few days, and I was like, you know what? He's right, I could do this. So I thought, how am I going to get into this? And I was working as a club promoter at the time, nightclub promoter, and we had one night in High Wycombe. It was an absolute crap night, but our DJ knew everyone. So I went up to him, Seb, bless him, lovely guy. And I said, Seb, you're involved in local radio. And he goes, yeah, real small scale stuff like hospital radio. I was like, okay, cool, fine. He goes, yeah, what's up? And I go, I want to get involved. And he goes, the guy who does it, he used to come in here a lot, but he never comes in anymore. When things happen, 40 minutes later, mate, he walks through the door.
Destiny.
The guy's name's Clive Hodgson. Walks through the door. Seb goes, Aaron, go and speak to him. So I've spoken to him, and he goes, look, give me your details. I'll put you in touch with the guy who does the sport. I expect, 7 to 10 week working reply. The next morning, I had an email from a man called Keith Higgins. Hello, Keith. Who is known as Obi-Wan in that part of town. This man's brought through, so he brought Joe Shannon through. Yeah. He brought a guy through called Phil Catchpole. He worked very closely with Ben Campbell, who was at West Ham, Sam Avery, who's now at 3 Counties, and me. And Keith has written me this email, and I'm sat there going, what is this? Like hospital radio. Wow, amazing. and he's written, do you know the difference between like Accrington Stanley and Arsenal? Blah 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 blah. I'm like, yes. And he said, look, we do a show Saturday afternoon from Wycombe Hospital Radio. The gaff is falling down, literally. It's on stilts. It's falling down. He goes, come down and see how you get on. I was like, fine. So I've gone down and he's at the commentary. So there's a guy called Luke Davis. Luke is now on the media team at Wycombe Wanderers. And Luke must have been about 16, 17. He's like, you good? I'm like, yeah, cool. And I've sat down, got my laptop and making notes, blah, 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 blah. They're doing the commentary. You can hear down the line. He goes to Luke at 5 o'clock. They're doing the Sky results to Colin Besley. He goes, if Aaron feels comfortable saying anything in the last hour, let him. So he goes, if you feel, I go, yeah, I heard him. No problem, mate. No problem. I did the whole hour on my own. I presented the whole hour on my own. And he's gone back at 6 o'clock going, don't let him leave. Don't let him leave. Keep him there. Keep him there. And he come back and he said to me, he goes, like, are you serious? I said, yeah. And he goes, all right, would you like to be part of our team? I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. I did my first commentary, Good Friday 2014. Wycombe Wanderers won, Northampton Town won, one of the worst games of football I've ever seen in my life. Managing Wycombe, Gareth Ainsworth, who I'm so privileged to call a friend now because he's been so good to me. He was my first ever interview. I remember I sat at the back of the plane. He goes, what about you? Do you want to ask a question? Yeah. Oh, hello, Gareth. You all right? And Chris Wilder was the manager of Northampton Town.
Oh,
Ivan Toney played for Northampton at that point.
Yeah.
And I'd become enamoured by it. And Keith said to me, you've got to go. And he, he's an educator. So he's used to coaching people. And he goes, if you're serious about it, he goes, go and get an education. And I go, what? He goes, go and get an education. He goes, you need to learn core journalistic values. You need to learn how to pitch a story, how to do all these various bits and pieces, which I just thought of pie in the sky things. I thought, yeah, I'll go there, I'll run, I'll give it a go. I said, okay, what do I do? He goes, apply for an MA. So I just finished my bachelor's. He goes, apply for an MA. So I applied to City, which is the place. Got rejected. Guy rejected me on the email, left his digital signature, left his number, so I phoned him. And you're 23, 24, mate. I've got nothing to lose. I'm confident. Phoned him. Hello, mate. He goes, who's this? I said, blah blah blah. You rejected me? He goes, did I? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, okay. And I said, look, what do I do? And he goes, I'm not allowed to give that advice. I said, all right, fine. I said, if I was your child, what would you tell me to do? And he goes, okay. And he goes, I'll tell you to go and get a BA. I said, what? Do 3 years of uni again? He goes, yeah. Okay. And he goes, if you want to do it properly, enjoy the 3 years. And the most crucial thing this man said, I can't even remember his name, I got the email somewhere. Make sure you're supplementing it with experience. Go out, write, do games, do that. And I was like, okay, because I explained to him I want to be a broadcaster. And so I applied to one university that were just like, yeah, we'll have you straight away. I was like, not sure. You want the thrill of the chase a bit, don't you? So I applied to University of the Arts London and I got rejected. And I went to my tutor at the University of Reading. His name's Dr. Bilal. And I said, Doc, I have terrorised you for 3 years. I am sorry. Like, I've been an absolute pain in the arse. But if you do this one thing for me, I will never darken your door again. Yeah. I go, you need to write a letter to these lot to say I'm a good lad. I'll do it, And she's like, and I said, please just help me. And she did. And she emailed them and they offered me an interview. And she goes, you need to write 1,000 words. They want to check out your proficiency, how you write. 1,000 words, something non-controversial. So fine. Me being the absolute idiot I am, I wrote why Real Madrid are the cancer of football, a thesis. And then I got, they go, right, come to interview, Elephant and Castle, London College of Communication, used to be London Print College. Gone in there, I thought, right, Arts University, step up my clobber game. I wore a bright pink jumper and a bow tie. And the head of the unit is a lady called Anne Coddington. She come down. Are you Aaron? Yeah. All right, cool. Come in. And she turned around. She goes, what a lovely jumper. I was like, 1-0. Got in there. Had an interview with Mark. who become he was the course director. Really good bloke, Mark. Really good guy. And at the end of it, he turned around and he goes, right, this is a standard question, but why should we take you? And again, you think the size of the balls on this, mate. You're like, what's he going to say? And I'm like, I'll be fine without you, but with you, I'll make history. And he looked at me and he's like, give us 1 minute. He's gone out. He's come back in. He goes, right, we'll offer you a place. I'm like, what? Offer me a place. And he goes, we're oversubscribed and we're banking on people to drop out. And so I started there. At that point, Keith at Hospital Radio was like, you lead all the commentaries this year. You commentate on Wycombe Wanderers. You do every game home and away. Don't get me wrong, you're paying for the privilege because you're on Hospital Radio. You're not getting paid. He then told me that we had two listeners because they'd ripped all the sets out of the hospital. We had 2 listeners. One of them was blind. He used to turn around and just go, that was shit, and throw the headphones. I'm like, what? The commentary? The game? What was shit? But it was an experience. And I started working for a radio station, Slough, Asian Star. I just thought, you get as much in terms of air miles as possible. And my uni journey began, met some incredible people. It was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. One of the best things. Because you work with, you had incredible journalists who were teaching you. And I was sat front of the class like, wow, this is incredible. And I was commentating on Wycombe, started there. And that season is when they went to the playoff final, famously against Southend. They're 1-0 up. Joe Piggott scores. And then there's the penalty shootout where Gareth Ainsworth and Phil Brown, who still, by the way, Phil Brown was at my house last summer. Phil, you absolute bastard. You promised my mum you'd do some electrical work. Imagine one day we're doing a programme together. We're doing 606 on 5 Live. I'm upstairs having a shower. I go downstairs. He's sat on the sofa next to my mum. I go, what are you doing in my house? Oh, right, how's that? I'm like, mate, no. My mum's got him looking at the wiring. Yeah? he's a sparky by trade. Yeah. War Philip. So Phil and Gareth, arm in arm on the touchline. Fantastic. And I did a year and a half on Hospital Radio. And then, my journey to the BBC, it's amazing. I say this now, and I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the arse. Never had a job interview at the BBC. So, this is going to get me in trouble. Basically, we had a teacher called Rebecca Pearce, a tutor called Rebecca Pearce. She used to do this session on Friday morning. She'd get journalists in and, you'd chat to them and ask them questions. They'd tell you what they do and all that. One day, Phil Parry, who is obviously a BBC London parish, comes in. So Phil comes in, Timberlands, jeans, swinging his legs about. Lovely guy. One of the kindest people you ever meet. Phil does this session and I'm sat there and I'm like, I'm frustrated because I've commentated now on 40 EFL games. And I'm not saying I should be taking his job, but you want to challenge yourself. You've got ambition, you've got drive, you want to do things. You want opportunities. And so Phil does this session and I wait to the end till everyone goes out. And I go up to him and I go, Phil, thank you so much for coming in. He goes, you're welcome. And I go, why are you selling people dreams? And he goes, what? And I was like, you're full of shit, mate. And he's like, and Rebecca's gone, Aaron, don't. I was like, no. I was like, there are so many people who want this. You've come here, you've talked about how you go and I can't remember the Brentford manager, Marinus Dijkhuizen or something like that. You go off and you interview him and you send it back on this app and we chop it up and we have a programme 2 till 6 on a Saturday and we have all the commentaries, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get that opportunity because there's no points to entry. And I think about the changing landscape of the industry. I think of that 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And I think of now, all the routes. And I look at people and people always ask me, how do I get to do you? And I go, mate, get on as many podcasts as you can. Get on as many community shows. Get on that show, that show, that show, that show, that show. Do paper reviews. Talk about whatever it is. Talk about fly fishing. I don't care. Do it. I didn't have that. We did not have that. People were still talking about setting up blogs in 2014.
That's amazing because I was a long way ahead of you, and I had nothing, and nobody had anything really until what's happened recently.
Absolutely,
there was no pathway, was there at all?
You
just
no
had
UCFB.
Your moments of destiny. That's all it was.
Your UCFBs, all that, nothing existed. So Phil, I don't know why he took a bit of liking to me because do you have? This is really embarrassing because do you have any contact details? Paddy Barclay, the late great Paddy Barclay. he used to spend a lot of time out of uni, come and do guest sessions, and we'd have beers. We'd sit and be drinking with, what an experience. We'd sit and be drinking with Paddy Barkley till 9, 10 at night. In this SU, £2 putt to San Miguel. Me, Paddy, blah, blah. He'd be telling all these stories. Amazing. And one day he turned around to me and goes, I'm not going to do the accent. He goes, make sure you've always got a card with you. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, absolutely. He goes, don't let someone quit you short. He goes, they might not have a pen, they might not have a phone. It's like the Wolf of Wall Street, a different version, you know? Yeah. And I pulled out a business card. Like, there you go. And he's like, all right, okay. Thought nothing of it. 5 weeks later, I get a phone call from him. We've got a 6-week contract covering AFC Wimbledon. Do you want it? Absolutely, I do, mate. I was supposed to stay for 6 weeks. I stayed at Booths London for 2.5 years. Got poached by someone else, went there, and then I went to Five Live. And then I went back to London, sort of like, you know, alongside Five Live. And then my TV, the TV story is even better. Where I was sat somewhere on a Sunday night with a mate, we're having a drink, and I got a DM from a blank profile on Instagram going, "Hi Aaron, really like your work. I'm XYZ from this company. Can we have a conversation?" I'm like, he's taking a piss, and he like, this is a wind up. And I ended up going to Stockley Park and starting with ITV, doing the ITV highlight show. ITV highlight show, and then moving on, doing more bits for ITV. Sky last season, did Soccer Saturday last season. I think they wanted a village idiot, and they found me. And then DAZN, and who knows what's going forward. Done some BBC TV as well.
Okay, well, in 2023, you were the Sports Journalist of the Year in the Asian Awards. Let's talk Asian.
Yeah.
Let's start with football itself rather than with you. When I look back to diversity finally coming into football in the 70s and 80s, it was basically Afro-Caribbean. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Asian. And when I look back at dressing rooms, which I used to have access to in a way that most people didn't, I think back and I think racism didn't go out of the window when diversity came in the 80s and what have you. It simply shifted. And it was because there were no Asians in there, you found that the white guys and the black guys often weren't too keen on the Asian guys. That was their meeting point, if you like. What has been the battle to get Asian footballers into English football?
That's a very good question. I'll give you an example of a couple that I know. And I'm obviously can't name any names because, you know, they're still out there. You know, there is such a hype if your boy is playing football at 16, 17 for a club that you want them to, obviously, you know, the parents want the kids to do well. I remember speaking to a kid and he's supposed to be a really good player. And his mum's on him. Anytime I see them at a family event, he's such a good player. He's getting picked for that. In the back of my mind, I'm going, why's the club not scouted him yet? Anyway, she goes, he really wants to get trials somewhere. I go, where's that? And she goes, oh, Chelsea, Arsenal, blah, blah. I go, I'll get in at AFC Wimbledon. No, Michael Hamilton, I'll get in at AFC Wimbledon. Nah. Well, why not? Well, he wants to play for Chelsea or Arsenal. You know, he might consider Spurs. And I go, okay. I said, well, I'll get you in at AFC Wimbledon. You give it a go. But let me tell you about that football club. If you're good enough, you'll come through the academy, you'll play, and then they'll sell you on because they need the money. They'll sell you. They sold 15-year-olds. They're selling 15, 16-year-olds, you know. I mean, half of it is tantamount to human trafficking. You know what they're doing at AFC Wimbledon. God bless you. I love you. I love you so much. But why do you want your kid to play for them and not AFC Wimbledon? What is it? That kid, by the way, 17 now. Don't play for the plays on a Sunday. Not interested. Could have done something. Not interested. I know another who's a professional at the moment, had real issues in terms of he's had issues with racism and whatnot. But last summer he was desperate for a club. Got him a trial somewhere. He didn't even turn up. Professional club. Didn't turn up. So this summer, the same person who's like, oh, could you have a word? I'm like, no, you can't do that. I know another lad who again, experienced some tough times, just gone off the boil fully gone off the boil. I don't, look, I'm not a parent. I can't sit and go, it's hard for us and blah, 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 because I haven't played to that level. I was nowhere near that level. But I think the attitudes need to change from the players and the parents. They need to stop looking at this as the parents need to firstly stop going, right, that's my pension over there. That's my pension.
I think that's not just Asian parents, that's parents generally in football,
But Asian parents, we're trying to move away from the stereotype of lawyer, doctor, dentist, X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Mate, let me tell you something. My sister's a dentist. I can do whatever you want. I could do anything you want on television or radio.
Who does she support?
Who does she support?
Yeah.
It's a bit iffy. Fella's an Arsenal fan for his sins. But, I mean, she's neither here nor there. But, I could do whatever I want on television and I could make history. She's still the golden girl. She's the doc.
Yeah.
He's the golden girl. Yeah. And I love her for it. And, I'm so proud of what my sister's achieved. But you look at it and there's still such a case of, they want instant gratification as well, parents. They want you to study the fuck out of everything and work hard and get a job and settle and blah, 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 blah. Football's such a unique career, isn't it? You don't know where it's going to take you, which turn. But I also think that if you work hard, you get your nut down, you work hard. Talk about Asians, you look at Al-Hamadi. Al-Hamadi is one of the loveliest people I've ever. He's a sweet boy. His story's incredible. His dad was a I think was a lawyer or was very, very he opposed Saddam Hussein and he was very outspoken. Ali and his mum, who was pregnant at the time, got smuggled out of Iraq via Jordan, and they end up in flipping Toxteth in Liverpool. And you go up to him and you see this boy, and you're like, "Hi, Ali." And he's like, "All right, lad," and you're like, "Whoa!" But he's a street footballer. He had nothing. They come here, they tried to build something in their lives. Look at him now. You're so proud to see him. Because he's such a lovely guy as well. You're so proud to see him do well. But he's an example. He's got his nut down. He's worked hard. Went to Swansea. Went to Wycombe Wanderers. Wasn't playing. I remember when Wimbledon signed him. And I asked Joe Jacobson at Wycombe, I said, what do you reckon? Who are we getting here? And he goes, if he plays, it'll be electric. 1 calendar year, 40 goal involvements. And he gets to move to Ipswich. Fantastic. You can work hard and do it.
The stereotypes, and they're a dangerous thing to talk about, but we've talked about one, which is the dentist doctor. The other is that, the dietary background, the Asian footballers were never going to be strong enough to compete at the very top level of Premier League football. And that's why they're good cricketers and good squash players and tennis players. But if you like, they don't beef up like footballers. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm Punjabi, and let me tell you something. I disagree highly.
Yeah.
We are animals as human beings. we are savage human beings. You look at it. You go to Punjab and look at them, and they're humongous. We're all 6 foot plus. You go up to any Asian person, the first thing they'll try and do is work out where you're from. That's the first thing. Anyone, you walk in the street, you go to a bar, whatever. Where are you from? What's your surname? Yeah, they'll try and work out where you're from. But they'll look at you if you're Punjabi, you're over 6 foot, 100% Punjabi. We got this look about us.
I mean, this is really interesting because India and the whole India, Pakistan, that whole area is kind of described in England as cricket. Yep. But they love their football out there. They absolutely adore their football.
But people have tried. Atletico Madrid bought into a football club in Kolkata, tried to build an academy, didn't work.
But why? Why didn't?
I'll tell you why. What doesn't work out there? There is such an obsession with the Bollywood market and the cricket market that, I mean, look, I don't really watch television. Go on any Asian TV on Saturday night. India's next top singer, India's next top dancer, India's next top actor, India's this, blah, 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 talent show, XYZ. Everyone wants their kid to be a singer, a dancer, an actor, a model, something like that, because Bollywood is cash out there. Yeah. Cash.
But if I look across India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, all with populations of over 100 million.
I can't speak for the rest of them, but I'll tell you about India and Pakistan. and it's a case of if you play cricket, you're gonna go far. Look at this kid who's 15, knocking out in the IPL.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The hype around him's huge. If you can play for your country at cricket, that's all they care about. That and being an actor or a singer or something like that, it's huge money out there. Football isn't big money out there.
But we've had a few. Michael Chopra.
Yeah.
He was of an Anglo-Indian background.
Yeah.
Robert Rosario surprised me as he played in the first round of Premier League games. That he's got quite a complicated background, but it includes
Jimmy Carter,
who I know well.
Yeah.
Says he was the first to play in the top division because he played before the Premier League.
Played for Millwall.
And Robert Rosario was the first one in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, you wouldn't know. I mean, Jimmy does not radiate an Asian background, does he? He's much more English in his look. And Robert Rosario, I think most people thought he must be Italian.
Mal Benning, who plays in the EFL.
Danny Bath. You must have interviewed him.
Fantastic.
His is an amazing story.
You've got to have the backing of the parents. That's the key thing. You know, in this culture, it's all about honouring your parents and all that malark. I'm very fortunate. My mum backed me when it came to my own career. It's taken a long time, and I wanted to do things organically. I've done it. I'll give you an example just to sort of cap this bit. I knew a lad who was playing non-league. You talk about unit. He was a unit of a man. 6'5", fit, ready, happy days. He could have played EFL. Fantastic centre half, aerially dominant. I watched him. I'm like, this guy's going to be big. Do you know what? His dad owned a gas fitting company and says, you ain't playing football, son. You're going to be a gas fitter. He's a gas fitter now.
And he's no. Who did he play for non-league?
I couldn't tell you.
No.
But he literally is. He fits boilers.
Yeah.
I want to just move on time-wise, and it took until 2006, as I recall, for Chelsea, where I was working, to sign an openly Muslim player who was Kalidou Koulibaly, and
the cannibal.
And and that was like a big cultural change. Threatened, is that the right word? But in the dressing room, and he came in. And it was a summer of change. Chelsea would sign people like Marko Balat, Andrei Shevchenko, and a lot of other players, Tal Ben-Aim, and he came in and he was just such a hit in the dressing room straight away because he was the best at all the computer games. He was absolutely hysterically funny, and he was immediately on the main kind of communication phone list, whatever, of everybody, as when they all went off home and played their games together. He was top. He was involved in all the shenanigans going on in terms of caking me with pastry and God knows what and what. He was just involved in everyone adored him. Football, but actually had one very good World Cup, I think, with the Dutch national team. He was Dutch Moroccan. And the one thing that has really thrilled me is that the more that Muslim people have come into dressing rooms, the easier it's got. They've been assimilated in a way that they simply haven't been in society. And I think, and that's not because of them, that's because of society. But I think that the dressing room is a very, very good advertisement for the way that diversity can work.
A unique place, isn't it? Very unique place. I'm so lucky I've been able to see into different, sort of peer into different dressing rooms, and you learn about the dynamic of it, the microclimate of it. It's fascinating how things work. And I think there's also that element of your teammates don't look at you, your background, whatever. They want to see how you play. Can you survive? Are you going to come in and make us better? That's it. That is it. What's your ability? No one cares about the rest. And it's nice to see people integrated. I mean, there's so much more work that needs to be done. A friend of mine runs a platform called DesiBallers, which is the number one platform in terms of South Asian footballers. He's celebrating 15 years of it. You know, we've got an event at West Ham on Wednesday. He's a massive West Ham fan, so we've got an event over at the London Stadium, the Olympic Park, on Wednesday. I look at the work he does. It's thankless. tracking these players, seeing how things are going and whatnot. You just want to see them progress. You just want to see people who are good at what they do progress, don't you? And I think that's what you find with the dressing rooms of the Muslim players who have sort of folded in seamlessly, is people being respected for their abilities rather than their skin colour.
Respect is the key word, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to local radio, which you are now a bastion and a
celebrity.
Yeah.
Don't know about that.
But most of all, you're someone who's got the qualifications to talk about it. In football terms, what should local radio be targeting?
What should be targeting?
Yeah, I mean, what are you trying to achieve that will get listeners and inform listeners in a way that Radio 5 and TalkSport...
I can't... Radio 5 is funny because obviously I work for them as well, so I can't really...
But is there a difference where you're approaching
Massive.
a Premier League club for Radio London,
Massively.
approaching it for Radio 5 Live?
Absolutely. There used to be the slogan that BBC London used, and it was printed, all the grounds. You go to the Valley, it'll be there. You go to the Den, it'll be there. And it was first for the insert club name. So it'll be BBC London 94.9, first for the Lions. BBC London 94.9, first for the Addicts. That's all I've ever said. Be first. Be the ones that are the trusted sources. And I was really lucky. I got a really good upbringing where, funny enough, so I went into work for London. I got put on Wimbledon. Then I got chucked on some Chelsea games when Mourinho's second spell had ended. And do you know what? I had a really good bit of interaction with Goose Hiddink and Bruce Buck because I'd covered 8-9 games, and they were like, "You travel all the time with us, thank you, blah blah." Really, really polite. Goose was a lovely man. And then I got put on Fulham, and it was like, right, next season you are Fulham, home and away. And I learnt so much, and I learnt the sort of responsibilities you had. And you go on social media, people want to find out what's going on behind the scenes. What can you tell us? And so you lean, and everything's about relationships. Martin, you're probably the king of it. You build those trusted relationships with people where people know you're not going to shaft them. You're not going to shaft a player that hasn't been media trained. You are going to do the best to push that club. You're gonna do your best for it. I'll tell you what, for me, one of the standout things was, and one of the saddest moments was the passing of John Berylson, where I got a call from the head of comms at Millwall saying John has died. And I remember I was driving back from Ipswich. It was a July day. I'd started working for Ipswich Town, and I was like, "What do you mean John has died?" And John was a remarkable human being, real proper American character, but he had a real good heart. And I thought to myself, right, break it on the radio. So we did that. How am I going to do my best for John Berylson, for Millwall Football Club, who I have no affiliation with, just I'm a reporter that covers them a lot, and for the supporters? And so I phoned my colleague Nick Godwin, who is one of the best commentators out there, and we were presenting a show on the Wednesday. I said, Gordon, his middle name's Gordon, so I call him Gordon. Gordon the Big Engine, we call him. The most pompous of all the engines.
We understand that.
He's great. So I said, Gordon, what are we going to do? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, no, we've got to do him justice. I said, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to base ourselves at the Den tomorrow. And he's like, okay. So we've gone down there, and I've never seen anything like it in terms of the grief, the outpouring of emotion, and the fact we were allowed into a club's inner circle. I remember seeing the CEO, Steve Kavanagh, and Steve, I used to just be like, he's like a... Do you remember Steve Kavanagh?
I remember him, yeah.
Cav was like a military general. I always used to say he's immaculate. I've never seen him like that. He just crying his eyes out. And I look, and I remember that day so clearly because I was like, we fulfilled our duty to everyone that day. Mate, we were there clipping the flowers on the gates because the fans were just crying their eyes out. Again, I've got no affiliation for Millwall. I hosted Millwall podcast because it just fell into my lap by way of work. And I've got love for them because of what John was like and because of the people. And I feel they get a very, very bad rap. And I've got a lot of love for that football club. But to have that honour of doing that was huge. And I felt I walked away that day and I was like, I've done my duty. And do you know what the best thing is? I met John's son, James, about a year and a bit later. And he come up to me and goes, thank you so much for what you did to my dad. And I was like, mate, it got you right here.
That's a great example of the detail that local radio could go into. And it was a national story in itself, but not to any bulletin after bulletin, whereas you would be doing bulletins all day on it. Yeah.
Huge. There's so many stories. I mean, I was very close to Fulham. Nearly got Slaviša Jokanović sacked, which was quite amusing. Great guy, by the way.
Oh, brilliant.
Fantastic guy.
The most heavy-eyed sense of humour.
He loves a ciggy. Well, best thing I learned was never interview him before he's had a smoke. And I remember he was playing Brentford away on a Friday night. And do you remember at Griffin Park, the area where you did the interviews was outside the showers?
Yeah.
So you've got the vents coming through, the players on the other side, you've got lipids and stuff coming through here.
Yeah.
And I see Slav and the press officer, Sarah Brooks, fantastic. Real, got a lot of respect for her. I've got a lot of love for her. She looked after me. It's good to work with a press officer who's tough as well.
A lot of us. She did.
When you're tough and you really, I've got such a lovely relationship there now. Yeah. But Sarah Brooks wasn't there yet. She hadn't come down from the stand. And I see Slav hunched over. And I'm like, what's he doing? And he goes to me, do you smoke? I said, no. He goes, take one. And I'm like, okay. Took one. He's lit it. I'm like, mate, they were like Yugoslavian Benson and Edges. You build that relationship with him. I had one of the funniest times with him was they played Wolves. They drew 4-4 at Molineux. And I described Paul Lambert as Gandalf the Grey on the radio because he was, imagine, the rain swirling around. And Wolves, Molineux is a really weird thing. It's like inside the bowl because it's sunk down. All the wind and all the crisp packets and pie wrappers start circling. Mate, we were in the middle of a tornado. 4-4, Paul Lambert's waving his arms around like Gandalf the Grey. I use the term centrifugal force there. The wind's blowing with a centrifugal force. Fulham drew 4-4 and Wolves had a rookie keeper in because like their first two keepers are out. And Slav comes up to him and goes, Monday, Modsport Park, 11 o'clock. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, I show you how to fucking defend. And I'm like, all right. And he's got the boys in lines. And I've reported that, yeah, do you want to go and stand by the side of the pitch? Yeah. Ryan Fredericks, Scott Malone, Dennis Adoy, and it would have been Tim Ream. And he's got them going up to a whistle, up, back, up, back, up, back. And he just comes up to me after he goes, see how I coach? I'm like, oh yeah, mate, yeah, I'll get it now. Mate, nearly got him sacked. Asked him a question. They got beaten by I think it was Werder Bremen or something in a. So I know we got off on tangents, but I love reminiscing about stuff like this. This is what it's all about, isn't it?
It's totally what it's all about, and what you bring is fun. I've got a few, and he's got a few, but I think you've outstripped them.
They got beaten by Werder Bremen at home, and that window was when Fulham were trying to be a bit Brentford. They were signing players from other countries, and they were going down sort of a Moneyball route. And he needed a striker, desperately needed a striker. And the last question I asked was, Slaviša, XYZ days till the window shuts. Your business isn't done, is it? He's gone on the biggest rant I've ever known to man. There are 25,000 people here. The owners should come and stand where I stand. They should hear what people are saying to me. Maybe they don't trust me. Blah, 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 blah. I'm doing this interview. I'm looking at Sarah Brooks going, you're wearing 6-inch heels. Yeah, I'm faster than you. Yeah. I've gone like that. And he's ended it. Thanks, love. Shook his hand, pelted it. I've buzzed the line. You need to get me on now. Broke the internet. Fulham Twitter was going mental. It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And he nearly got sacked.
He was outspoken. He was very dry-humoured. But he was a damn good manager, and he should have got more jobs. He should have got more.
One of the most joyous times was watching his teams play football. It was so simple, but so effective. And watching him carve that Fulham team, I remember watching it. You had Scott Malone and Ryan Fredericks, the fullbacks, and they'd sit on the halfway line. They'd sit there, And then you'd have the two centre halves. And you have Kevin McDonald, who I called the Carnoustie Crusher, and he revitalised Kevin McDonald's career. Kev was fantastic. They had a midfield of Kev, Stefan Johansson, and Tom Kearney. Unbelievably good midfield. And Kev would drop in and play a 3, and they push, and the full-backs would overlap. He had Aite on one side, Caban on the other, Sean Aluko down the middle. That team, you saw them beat Reading 5-0, Huddersfield 5-0. By the way, those two teams went to the playoff final that year. Yeah. The worst playoff final known to man. Yeah. And you look at it and you really felt for him. And then he got Mitrovic. And I remember the day they signed Mitrovic was just incredible. Chris Martin, the famous quote, when I think Steve McLaren was the manager of Derby and Fulham could terminate the agreement, but Derby couldn't recall Chris Martin. He was cast off by the manager who was there before. I can't remember who it was. And Derby gave him like a 4-year deal while he was at Fulham. And he was like, right, I want to go back to Derby. And Slav just comes and goes, we are not a train station. And I'm like, mate, champagne, I love it, brilliant, that's your moment. What a guy. I remember I broke my ankle and I was going to the Medeski and the press box is 4 floors up. And we'd talk twice a week all the time. He's in the lift with me and he goes, what the fuck happened to you? I'm like, I broke my ankle, boss. He goes, who will play striker for me now? I'm like, well, you'll have to get him to give you some money. He goes, they will give me nothing. And I'm just like, okay. Literally, he looked at me and then he's trying to do that to me. Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing, mate? I've got a broken ankle. Great guy. And it was, when he got sacked, I was so sad because there used to be a T-shirt when Donald Trump was first, fighting for power, make America great again, or Trump making America great again, and they had a T-shirt, Slaviša making Fulham great again. Oh, I've still got one. It's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah. That almost brings us full circle with Donald Trump, doesn't it? to what's really fun. Before we let you go, how were you when Wimbledon won at Wembley?
Ill.
Were you? Were you not there?
No, I was there.
Yeah.
Were you working or supporting?
So no, I worked the Championship. I worked the Charlton League One, and then I was working for the club. So the club, BoxPark. So we've got a MD called James Woodruff, who is one of the most impressive young characters in the game. Come from Palace, his first MD role, does everything with real panache, very, very headstrong. Actually, no, someone's gonna come poach him. He's shit. Yeah, we're losing money hand over fist. No, it's his idea. You have a party when we used to be at Kingsmeadow. So the 2016 one, everyone flocked back to Kingsmeadow. Now at Plough Lane, Wimbledon's another 20 minutes away. By the time the players get out, XYZ happens, it's me 8-9 o'clock. You want to have a party? So you book BoxPark pre-game. And he goes to me, look, would you host it? And I go, mate, nothing would give me more pleasure to host. Mm-hmm. Absolutely incredible opportunity. So on the Saturday of the playoff final, and I'm telling you, we're in the commentary box, the 5 Live have got a box at Wembley, and I am sweating. Like fully, profusely sweating. And I am like, I'm in trouble here. And I've done the playoff final, and I nailed both games. I'm like, I've done all right here, I've gone to the mix zone and I'm leaning on a barrel. I'm like to my producer, I cannot do this. We did a pod. Boss has gone, pod was great, mate. I'm like, mate, I'm not well. Gone back, hallucinated. I was hallucinating. For 2 days I hallucinated when I was sleeping.
Was that the Lyle Taylor hallucination?
Yes. Oh, I told you about that, didn't I?
Yeah.
So Lyle was my favourite Wimbledon player. He's now a really good friend of mine. Like, I'm so blessed to say he's a friend of mine. He's, very, very dear friend. I started phoning him in the middle of the night. So I hallucinated that Lyle Taylor had re-signed for Wimbledon for one game only for the League Two playoff final. And I hallucinated that I was reading the team. I thought I was at Wembley reading a team sheet. I don't know where this team sheet's come from or what team sheet I picked up around me. And I'm reading it and I'm looking. Because Omar Bougil, who's our main striker, Omar, great guy. Omar's injured. So I thought, Kopi, I don't do football. He signed and he's signed long. Great, yeah. But he's wearing number 30. 33 is his number. So I'm phoning him going, why are you wearing 30 and not 33? And he's phoned me the next day. He goes, why were you phoning me at like 2 a.m? I go, I'm finished, mate. I'm in trouble. I'm BIT, bang in trouble. Phoned him. I had another hallucination the next day, which was that a kid from school was come to murder me. And we were in a self-driving Tesla going down the Finchley Road. And he's got an old like Glock gun. And he's pointing at me. And I'm landing punches on him, but nothing's hitting. He's just smiling at me. I was so unwell. Charlton game, nailed it, got home.
Had you drunk too much?
Mate, I had a chest infection and tonsillitis. You're just knackered. It's the end of the season, you're knackered. And so I got let down by a doctor on the Monday of the Wimbledon player final. And I really pushed time. I got to Wembley. Commercial director phoned me. I'm swigging from a bottle like Cavonia, mate. Like it's, like it's a hip flask, yeah? Got in there. And someone's got a video of me just screaming, Wimbledon! Like that. And every other minute, you don't. Literally, one of the greatest experiences was reading the teams out. I mean, what a feeling it is, when the crowd are like, we're into you. It's unbelievable. Gone in there, done that. Did not enjoy the game. I sat there literally like that. I felt horrific. Did not enjoy it one bit. Gone back to BoxPark and there's a party happening and they're like, right, you need to be ready for this. I turned around, I was like, how long the players are going to be? They're like, 45 minutes now. I go, right, see that room over there? I'm going for a nap. I was asleep in BoxPark whilst the party was starting and I've walked out and our skipper Jake Reeves just come up to me. I got Skip, I gotta go. He's like, what? I go, I'm finished, mate. And he's like, all right, cool. He saw me about a month later. He goes, you were steaming at the playoffs. I go, mate, I was not. I promise you. People turn around to me going, why are you crying? I go, I'm not. And they go, you look like you've been crying. I was like, no, mate, I'm ill. Went to a walk-in centre the next day. So I phoned NHS 111. They absolutely tucked me up fully. And they go to this walk-in centre. There's no queue. I've gone in there. I'm looking around. Everyone's like arms in bandages, stuff like that. Turn around. I said, this is the situation. Triage nurse has come in. She goes, we only do injuries and not illnesses. I'm like, for fuck's sake, I'm in trouble. I'm going to die here. Went to another one. We're filling the form out and there's this lady and she's sat by this old lady. And she turns around and I told her regaled the whole time. I was like, look, yeah, I don't know what's left of me here. I'm in trouble. And she literally like, shit, I'll get you the doctor now. Got me the doctor. She goes, go. I've gone, She looked, go, oh my God. She goes, your tonsils are like done. And she goes, I need to put you in intravenous. So I sat there the day after the player final on an intravenous drip, mate. Because I was finished. I was absolutely finished. I got over that, went to America, stayed in a hotel in Nashville, lovely hotel. The air conditioning in my room was faulty and stayed on. And so I come back with sinusitis. So imagine I'm on the plane back. I'm sat there. I've had dinner. I'm sat there. I'm like, something's not right. I look down. There's claret everywhere, and my nose is just bleeding. Twice on the plane that happened. First Monday back for radio. I've woken up, blood everywhere, and it's just part and parcel of travelling and knackering yourself out. I mean, I don't know about you. Has your season finished?
I've just started help at the Woking Academy, so I've just started the season. That was Saturday, and the season finished on Sunday, didn't it, with Chelsea? So I think we've done 12 months.
Well, I don't think my season finished because we came back from America. I came back on the 17th, and then on the Thursday I flew to Marbella because Wimbledon were playing Paphos in a pre-season friendly. So I've been out there, played Enfield the other day, played Watford. Now we've got Sutton United Saturday, and the season's round the corner. Season opener. The Kenny, Luton away. Going to be mega.
Aaron, I never thought when we met in Philadelphia that our next meeting would be in Neil's kitchen, but I'm so glad it has been, and bless you for making the effort to come here. It's been fascinating.
Can I just say, I never thought I'd have the opportunity to sit down with you and have this chat with you. Obviously, an idol growing up, someone you look up to. This is up there with when I took John Murray to Southall and bought him a curry. And I was walking down the road and I look up and he's like, what? And I was like, you're John Murray. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
The streets I used to pound my gran going to buy vegetables
Just to explain, John Murray, Radio
is
5.
the chief.
Yeah,
the football correspondent.
and everybody looks up to him because he's about 6 foot.
One of
Even I'm
the,
6'3" and I look up to
Yeah,
him.
he's about 6'5", 6'6".
one of the loveliest
Correct.
people. Him, Ian Dennis, Gary Flintoff are
Top-
the three
top
amigos.
people.
And when Gary's great, Gary will phone me, and whenever they're down here, he goes, right, should we plan like a little excursion? John's favourite thing is to come to Plough Lane to watch Wimbledon and then go for a curry. So we always make sure it happens. But to have this with you, Martin, and do you know what? I've got to say, like, I appreciate everything you've done for me. We met on Monday nights. That was our thing. Because I host Monday Night Football on London, and we have so many teams. Invariably, you were going to be going to a game on a Monday night. So you'd be going every week. And it'd be us first in, because my show would start at 6 o'clock. We'd be the first in the press room, we'd be sat there.
Martin's always first in.
I know, and that's how we got chatting. But everything you've done for me, I just appreciate it.
It's been an expanding friendship and admiration because you kindly asked me to be on your very first breakfast show.
That was my sport reader, Zavi.
Yeah.
He built like a montage of people.
Yeah.
And when I heard Martin, I was like, oh my, wow. So,
And that was an honour to be on it. And I know it's a very demanding show to do. You come straight from it today, and we've been listening to it this morning, full of admiration, off the cuff, and that's not even your specialised subject.
No.
When you're on football, you are dynamite.
thank you very much.
Aaron Paul, Radio London, Monday to Thursdays.
Monday to Thursday.
6 o'clock.
And of course, 6 till 10, don't get up at 6 in the morning. And of course, the EFL back on 5 Live this season, can't wait.
Thank you for watching, listening. Subscribe. Patreon to get more involved. Substack.com to read Martin's letters and my musings. Enjoy football.
See you next time.